You might be one of the millions either taking to the skies or the roads today for Thanksgiving.
What experts are advising are the worst times to travel so that you can avoid them. And be prepared while out shopping for gifts this holiday season. What authorities are encouraging you to do to keep your things safe from theft.
We have a cold front moving in tonight that will give us a much different flavor of weather for tomorrow. We'll talk about that change and when we can expect rain again in your first morning forecast.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Well, you have just a few hours to prepare before AAA declares it the worst time to travel for Thanksgiving. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Sarah Alsha.
And I'm Will Dupree. Right now, the holiday rush is underway as millions of Americans take to the skies and the highways. AAA is projecting that more than 5 million people will fly somewhere in the U.S. this holiday season. That is an increase of 2% from last year and an overall 11% increase from 2019. Now, if you're taking a vehicle, AAA says a record 71.7 million will hit the roads over the Thanksgiving. We got to climb that number. Experts say today will be the busiest between the hours of 1 and 5 p.m.
What are y'all plans for Thanksgiving?
I will be right here because I'm working tomorrow evening. So yeah,
okay.
I'm glad not to be on the roads out there. Yes.
I'm going to be driving after this, but I'm going to avoid the 5 p.m., 1 to 5 p.m., but I'm going to be going to my grandparents' house, so that'll be nice.
Isn't that nice?
Wait,
Yeah.
In Texas?
Yes. Hempstead. If anybody knows, Hempstead near Brenham area.
Okay,
so,
okay.
Yeah, I think I drive through Giddings. I know you mentioned Giddings, but so I think I'm going to see a little bit of Giddings on my way there.
And your drive should be fine locally. We really don't have any issues across Texas, but if you're going further north and further up in elevation, beware. We could be looking at some problems today in and around DIA, Denver International Airport. Big time snowmaker moving through the Rockies and moving out of the Rockies eventually and into the Central Plains here over the next 24 to 48 hours. So I think we'll watch that hub area, this midsection closely, just because sometimes this can be a good stopping point for those coast to coast flights. But if you're staying within state lines, you got nothing to worry about but a drop in temperatures. Let me show you what it looks like with the forecast highs today across the lower 48. Ooh, that is a different kind of cold, right? Up towards the north, 20s and 30s as high temperatures. Down to the south, we're in the 80s, right? Everyone on the map is looking at Austin thinking that's the kind of weather they see in November. This is not normal, though. We know that. If you've been here for a while, you know that this has been unseasonably warm. We finally start to look and feel like November tomorrow. In the meantime, enjoy it while it's here. Highs are going to go from those 70s right now to the 80s here in a few hours. That's a good 15 to 25 degrees warmer than what we were showing you on the map yesterday. So I expect our forecast high here in Austin to be 82. Again, average is 68. We're already above that. We're going to be closer to the record of 85 than we are that normal. But here's the thing. Temperatures go up and down as we get into the next couple of days. The rain chances are starting to come up. It's been a while since we've been having, we've had even the discussion of rain. So we'll discuss what this next storm system could potentially do for us here in your first morning forecast.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kristen. Well, the man who will soon have the task of handling our border got his first look at the activity in Eagle Pass.
Tom Homan joined Texas Governor Greg Abbott and other leaders yesterday. They handed out holiday meals to members of the National Guard and DPS, both of which are working under Operation Lone Star. The Eagle Pass military base opened back in May. Currently, there are more than 700 National Guard troops stationed there. However, there is room for more than 3 times that number.
You can't have strong national security if you don't have border security.
Having you available to serve the state of Texas or the United States of America is essential for Texas and for our country to remain sovereign, free, and safe. And that's exactly what you are delivering to the people of our great state.
A similar theme further down the border, Congressman Chip Roy went to Starr County to see new construction of the border wall.
I don't want to hear one excuse from any Republican across this great country about why we don't do our job to secure the border of the United States and, yes, deport the millions of people that were released unlawfully and frankly, purposely into the United States. That's our job, and we ought to do it.
The General Land Office bought the ranch land for this construction. Commissioner Dawn Buckingham offering the same land for the deportation effort of those in the U.S. illegally. She also revealed the state is willing to offer more land to the feds if needed for operations. Well, displaced residents of South Lebanon began returning to their homes after a United States brokered ceasefire deal between Israel and the Hezbollah militant group.
Under that deal, the fighting at the Israel-Lebanese border has come to an end. NBC's Hala Garani is in Jerusalem with the latest.
The ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah has been in effect since 4 a.m. local time in both countries, and so far it appears to be holding with only some minor skirmishes in the southern part of Lebanon. Now, the Lebanese military will be taking over from the Israeli military. It has 60 days to withdraw from southern Lebanon, and Hezbollah is expected, according to the terms of this agreement, to move north of the Litani River. In Lebanon, there was bumper-to-bumper traffic with thousands of displaced Lebanese heading back to their homes in the southern part of the country. In many cases, though, they will find their homes and towns destroyed. According to an NBC News investigation, some 5,600 structures in the area that the Israeli military occupied have been leveled. And in Israel, a recent poll indicates that about a third of Israelis support the idea of a ceasefire with Hezbollah right now, while a third is opposed to it. Hala Garani, NBC News, Jerusalem.
Back here in the U.S., former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani refuses to pay the $148 million he owes to 2 Georgia election workers. He interrupted a hearing yesterday on the case. A jury found him liable last year of defaming those 2 workers while falsely accusing them of tampering with ballots during the 2020 election. The lawyers for the 2 workers say that Giuliani has not complied with court orders to turn over his assets to the pair. He pled that he could not pay his bills because they tied up his assets.
I don't have a credit card. I don't have a checking account. I have no place I can go take cash out except a little bit that I saved, and it's getting down to almost nothing. I do not regret it for a minute. I regret the persecution that I've been put to.
A judge previously threatened Giuliani with civil contempt for failing to surrender his assets. This includes a luxury Manhattan apartment. It would partially cover what he owes. Another trial is scheduled to begin January 16th to address whether Giuliani must surrender property in Florida and some of his sports memorabilia. The Biden administration would like to require Medicare and Medicaid to cover weight loss drugs for patients struggling with obesity. A new rule proposed Tuesday would dramatically expand access to Ozempic, Wegovy, and other weight loss medications. These drugs are expensive, $1,000 a month or more, and the administration's proposal would cut out-of-pocket costs for patients. Here in the state of Texas, state leaders would like to make sure that thieves do not steal your favorite items while you're out shopping for holiday gifts. Organized crime rings are targeting certain stores. Right now, there is no way to track those kinds of thefts. But a new task force is seeking for the state to set up a reporting system to be able to report and share crime information across Texas. That will help law enforcement track criminals, especially if they're operating in several different cities.
Very organized criminal units that are taking advantage of lax rules and lax systems here, not just across the nation, but here in Texas as well.
The task force is also calling for a change to state law to make stores wait 10 days before reporting any certain types of thefts.
Well, the concerns about theft rings go beyond stolen goods for the employees working at these businesses. Going in depth, Motorola released a retail worker safety report this month. Key highlights showed 20% of workers said they've had police, firefighters, or medics report to stores at least once a week. That's a 16% bump over last year. Just under half say they've experienced hostile customer interaction. About the same amount even say they would feel safer with body cameras.
Visitors in town for the holiday may notice how much Austin's skyline has grown here.
But what they may not realize is much of that new office space is actually empty. Now, a commercial real estate company says the office vacancy rate in Austin is at an all-time high right now. CoStar says our nearly 17% is among the highest in the nation, and it blames the construction boom for that. According to CoStar, right now, nearly half of the offices being built do not have a lease.
2021 and early 2022 phase, you saw a lot of hiring happening during that period of time. That gave owners, investors, developers, the green light to say, let's build more office space to meet this demand.
But these vacancies might not be all that bad for potential tenants. CoStar says a landlord could be more inclined to make a competitive deal because of all this supply.
Most people don't look forward to a trip to the police station all that much, but one North Texas department may have something that you want to take a look and visit. Inside the Garland Police Department, there is now a Lego model of the very same police station. It took 33,000 pieces and around 250 hours of work to build the mini-sized police station. Humor was a part of it as well, such as a prisoner escaping. All of these little details are meant to delight visitors when they walk in the station. The officer behind this station says it started out being something fun, but it ended up being therapeutic for him after losing his best friend and fellow detective to cancer this year. He says if another police department or city hall wanted a Lego model, he might consider building one.
How cool. That'd be cool if we had one in the station.
I know, there's another idea.
We'll take a look at this excited pup frolicking through a yard full of snow. This video was taken in Utah yesterday as wintry weather swept through the region. Here's the pup named Copper running through the freshly fallen snow. Now, the rain and snow in the area lingered through Tuesday night before gradually lessening on Wednesday. So hopefully Copper enjoyed his time out on the snow.
There is nothing cuter than seeing a dog do the zoomies in the snow. It is so adorable.
Yeah.
I was just looking at that storm system. We have now some de-icing measures going on at Salt Lake City in Utah and also at DIA in Denver, as we warned you about, at the top of the hour. So that is the downside of seeing some of that snow, is it makes it hard to travel. But hey, if you're stuck in one place like that pup, make the best of it.
Absolutely.
You gotta enjoy it.
Have a good time.
Yeah. Do y'all normally watch the Thanksgiving Day Parade on NBC?
I love watching at least a portion of it.
Yes.
It's just something that I've done since I was a little kid, and so it just gives me that feeling.
For sure. It's a tradition for many families. And I was looking at what are some of the weather limitations for those balloons to go up here, because we do have a storm system on the East Coast, but it's really the winds that we have to watch. So taking it in depth here, the wind threshold, if you will, those sustained speeds have to stay less than 23 miles per hour for the balloons to be afloat in New York City for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And this is actually city regulation. So they're watching this closely. The gusts cannot exceed 34 miles per hour. Interesting to note, though, they can go up in rain. They can go up in snow. They usually put tarps over them. And then we can also see those balloons go up with cold weather. So it's really just limited to the winds. But we've obviously had a history of some problems, too. Looking at some notables. 1957, Popeye's hat filled with water tipped over, dumped gallons of water on parade goers there. And keep in mind, you can't bring an umbrella to the parade either. Spectators are not allowed to have an umbrella, so you're out there with just a raincoat. 1962, same thing, but it was Donald Duck's hat that happened with the water filling up and tipping over. Strong winds unfortunately led to 4 injuries in 1997, and this would have been the 100th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, but there was no parade during World War II, 1942, 43, 44. As they had to reallocate the helium and the rubber to the war efforts there. So I thought that was pretty interesting as we watch the weather very closely for those balloons to go up tomorrow morning in New York. Here at home, we got nothing to worry about. 80s, partly to mostly sunny skies. Pollen count again is not great. It's not perfect, but it could also be much worse. We know that. Very high levels of mold today. Grass and fall elm in the medium category. Ragweed at low. Cold front comes in tonight. Gives us a nice stretch of 60s as we hit tomorrow all the way through early next week. So tomorrow, no rain, mainly cloudy skies. High temperatures in the lower 60s. We've got some gusty winds to contend with, though. Even the winds today aren't exactly a walk in the park, but today's winds are out of the southwest, which is a warm wind. Tomorrow, it's a north wind. Sends us up for some cooler weather, and that cooler weather sticks around Friday for the high school football game. We've got Buda Johnson taking on Westlake at Burger Stadium with those 50s and 60s, or you can watch that live on KBVO. Saturday morning temperatures in those 30s, so it is going to get cold. This first cold front just kind of drops our temperatures here. The second one reinforces that cooler air that will come in Saturday. So your 7-day shows 1 day of 80s and 6 days of 60s. Most of the partly cloudy skies will go back and forth with that for the next several days. Some low rain chances on the back end of the 7-day Monday, Tuesday, with overnight lows mostly in the 40s. Coldest night will be Friday night into Saturday morning with those 30s.
The Thanksgiving holiday is just a few hours away now, and you will want to think carefully about potentially sharing some of your holiday meal with your pets at home.
Many of the dishes we enjoy can pose some serious risks to the health of our animals. Joining us now to share some advice is Susie Chase with Austin Pets Alive. Susie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is such an important topic.
It really is.
No, and definitely the timing of it, right? Thanksgiving. So when I think of Thanksgiving, right, we have friends, family around the dinner table, but then also our pets are kind of there also waiting for some of the scraps, some of the food. So what are some things that people need to know about or what's safe for pets to have?
So there's actually a long list of things that you don't want your pets to have, but some of the things that you can give your pets are apples. You can give them unseasoned turkey. You can give them mashed potatoes or cooked potatoes, sweet potatoes. There are lots of foods that you can give to them that have not been seasoned, that don't have butter, salt, anything like that on there. Any of those things in moderation are great.
Yeah, you touched on it there, though, about what things to avoid. So talk about that and why they're maybe potentially dangerous for pets.
Yes, so there are a lot of things that people want to avoid because pets are our family, and so we want to invite them towards the table sometimes, but we don't want to give them any fruits that have a pit that could have something that's really, really harmful in it. We don't want to give them any turkey bones or any kind of bones at all. Those could splinter and they could really harm their throats. We don't want to give them anything with xylitol or sugar that it could cause seizures, and we don't want to give them any of the sweets that might be on the table, like you don't want to give your pet chocolate. That could end up sending them to the emergency vet.
Yeah, and that's a good segue. If that does happen, if our pets eat something that's toxic for them, what should we do? What steps should we take?
So you definitely want to see if they're vomiting, acting unusually lethargic, then you want to call the emergency vet immediately. You'll probably have to take the pet in, but it's a life-saving measure. So today, make sure you have the phone number for an emergency vet just nearby in case you need to use it.
Yeah, it's definitely some good advice to keep in mind and keep handy. So what's your suggestion for someone who may not have a veterinarian for their pet or perhaps even needs some more affordable options to get that kind of care?
Sure. One of the things that we're focusing on at Austin Pets Alive and with our human animal services organization is to go ahead and make sure that everyone has access to quality vet care, to food, and to all other kinds of resources. And so we tell people, go to pets.findhelp.com, and on that site you can go ahead and put in your zip code and you can find lots of resources and find low-cost veterinarians near you.
That's awesome. And you mentioned before this thousands of pets adopted, right? And so this is really important information for people to understand if they're first-time pet owners.
It is. It definitely is. And so this Thanksgiving and throughout the holidays, we hope that everyone who is fostering or adopting a pet will remember to keep your pets safe by not sharing all the food. So when in doubt, don't share the food, but just give them some pets and take them for an extra walk.
No matter how much they might want it.
That's right.
They'll be begging, looking at you with those puppy eyes. You're like, no, I can't.
Yes. Yes, and plenty of pets just want to start leaping to the table when you have your back turned. So just make sure you have everything safely put away from them in their paws.
Awesome. Really important information. Thank you so much for being here, Susie. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us. And you can always look on our website, austinpetsalive.org, if you need additional information or resources.
Amazing.
Happy Thanksgiving. Have a good Thanksgiving tomorrow. Yes. Well, we'll be back right after the break.